On today's episode, you're going to be hearing from a portfolio company of King's Crowd Capital called Inergy. Inergy is a really cool company that is playing in the solar battery technology space. If you've ever wanted to invest in a solar system for your home and you've looked into it, you probably realize that it's $50, $60, $70,000 plus to get a solar system set up on your home. What Inergy is doing is making solar technology accessible to the masses with much more affordable and modular solutions for solar technology. I think it's really cool. It's creating an entry point for millions more people to be able to access solar technology. And that's a very, very powerful offering that could help make solar energy accessible to millions of people in our country and around the world, and hopefully have a really positive impact in terms of where we're sourcing our energy from in this country. So with that, one of the things that really stuck out to me on this episode, and I really do want you to listen to and understand the impact of, is that the CEO of this organization, Sean, is actually a refugee who came from Vietnam during the Vietnam War. And the impact that that had on him and wanting to create a values-based, aligned business, I think is a really powerful thing and something that really stuck out to me. So much of what makes a company exceptional is the leader, right? And the leader really sets the example for everyone throughout that organization. And to have someone with that background be impacted in such a way from their very young childhood to want to grow up and to do good in this world and to build a values-based organization that cares about other people, that cares about making the world a bit of a better place, that's a very, very powerful thing. And it's something that really stuck out to me and certainly made for an interesting conversation. So I hope you enjoy the episode. And now on to the episode. Thank you. So as always, I'd love to kick it off. Let's learn a little bit more about your background and how you became the CEO of Inergy.
Yeah, it's a somewhat of a circuitous route. It goes back to actually me being a refugee. My family and I were refugees from the Vietnam War. We escaped Laos into Thailand and then made our way to the United States in the early 80s. And that, has influenced what I desire to do and what some of the things I want to give back and so forth. And I grew up in the Bay Area, Silicon Valley, business guy, worked at tech companies like HP and Cisco and Oracle. I guess biggest company I worked for was Apple, so ex-Apple. And then after Apple, I actually just really wanted to focus on startups and making a difference. And so I left Apple and joined Sequoia Capital-backed startup and opened up China for them. And then I actually joined a late-stage Kleiner Perkins-backed startup back in Silicon Valley, and then helped them go IPO. And then the founder of Inergy reached out to me, and they were looking for someone who basically has Silicon Valley ties, has kind of the Rocky Mountain West ties, and also has experience living and working in China because, again, suppliers and so forth. And I checked all the boxes, and what really kind of got me excited about joining Brad, the founder of Inergy, was just the opportunity to bring renewable energy to the world. And there's over 700 million people in the world, according to the United Nations, that don't have access to electricity, and a lot of them are refugees, and that's where I came from, and I wanted to do that. So that's kind of my background in a long-winded way.
If you don't mind, if we could take a step back and talk a little bit about, your experience as a refugee coming to the United States. And I'd just love to ask you, how do you think that experience in your childhood has impacted how you lead?
I think about it every day because it is the foundation of my character, right? We came to the United States with literally just bags that we got from the refugee camp. I didn't have any baby pictures. I didn't have any, we didn't bring anything with us. We started from zero, and we worked hard. And as we were going through the process of kind of making it through the refugee system, there were people along the way that helped us. And that's what really motivates the company, Inergy. We are all 100% behind our mission to provide the world with affordable renewable power. And most of that, and the focus is on people who don't have access to electricity. And that's what really influences in what we do. So even though we're a startup, we've actually supported many philanthropic and worked with a lot of nonprofits to provide systems to communities in developing countries in areas that are, either affected by natural disasters or man-made disasters. And yeah, that's what really, drives us and fuels our passion.
Can you explain a little bit more? What is Inergy?
Yeah, Inergy is basically that we design, manufacture, and market portable energy storage systems. You basically just think of it as a home solar system in a box. We've taken all of the components of a home solar system, miniaturized it down into a 26-pound solution that has all of the components inside, and it's modular, so you can grow and expand it as needed. We've also described ourselves as a mail order home solar company, because you go to our website, you order our systems, it shows up in 3 boxes in your front door, and the solar panels show up, the head unit, which has the inverter, the charge controller, in one separate box, and another box for the battery systems. And you open up the box, you plug it in together, and it just works. You don't need a technician or an engineer to come and install it for you. It's plug and play.
You can order this to your home, put it outside wherever you want, I guess, whether it's on your deck, in your backyard, wherever it may be. And then how does the energy actually get transferred into your home so that you could use it for your lights or whatever else?
So it comes with solar panels, and you don't need to install the solar panels. It can be stored in your closet, in the trunk of your car, or whatever. When you can set up the solar panels on the lawn or on the balcony or your back deck or whatever, and it basically collects solar energy and stores it inside the battery module. And each battery module, currently in our Flex 1500 system, each battery module stores about 1 kilowatt hour of energy. So 1 kilowatt hour is enough to plug your washing machine, your clothes washing machine, into it, and it'll do 3 full loads of laundry. Or you can plug your refrigerator or your freezer into it, and it'll run it without any additional power for about 40 hours. If you want it to run for 80 hours, you just stack another battery on, and now you have twice the power. And if you want it to last even longer, you can set out your solar panels and charge it while you're using it, so it'll actually last even longer. And most of our customers actually buy it as a system that they store in their closet or in their garage. We do actually have customers who buy our home integration kit, and they actually can connect 4 circuits of their home service panel, the electric breaker, and it will power 4 breakers. And that could be, the breaker that runs the freezer, the breaker that runs the lights, the breaker that runs the refrigerator, whatever. And when the power goes out, they just basically flip the switch, and now our system is feeding the power into their home. It's a manual transfer switch currently.
One of the major barriers, I think, to people getting solar for their home is just the very large price point that comes with that, right? You could be talking about $50,000 to $75,000 plus to put all the solar panels on your roof and get the entire system set up, which is obviously pretty prohibitive for most people, right? If you think in mass.
Yeah.
Talk to us about kind of the price point of your solution.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, that's a great point that you're making, Chris, in that one of the key differentiators, one of the key drivers in our business model is to make an affordable solar system. One of the major influences in my life is someone named Danny Kennedy. I've read his book. He's the founder of Sungevity, one of the first solar companies to do like solar proposals online and using satellite imagery. And so he pioneered that. And he coined a term called rooftop revolution. Now, I have a problem with that, or actually not that Danny made it, but the concept of rooftop revolution infers or implies that you own a rooftop in order to participate in the revolution. Well, there's about 49% of US households don't have a rooftop, access to a rooftop, because one, they're either renting their home, they live in an apartment or a high rise. What do? How do they participate in the renewable energy revolution? They are just left behind. The solar the solar knocker, the people that come and knock on your door and try to sell you solar, they don't knock on your door if you're in an apartment because there's no solar panels on your roof, right? Well, those are the people that we want to offer this solution to, is you can buy our solution and start for as little as $1,450 for one head unit and one battery. And you can charge it by just plugging it into the wall. So when the power goes out, basically you have a way to at least keep the lights on, to charge your phone, maybe power some fans, or if you have medical devices like a CPAP, which helps you to sleep at night or to breathe, you have that access to that. But for those that don't have access to solar or home battery backup, that costs like $15,000 to $20,000. What do? That's who we're trying to provide this solution for. It's really affordable, and you can grow the system, by just making the initial investment of $1,500, and then as you get additional resources or you have additional needs, you'll just buy more components. You can buy solar panels when you're ready. You can buy more batteries when you're ready. You can buy a MPPT supercharger to actually charge it even faster. It's basically plug and play, a building blocks module, a kind of design metaphor, just to allow people just to have more flexibility and choices.
Is there a competition out there in kind of this modular solar space? And if so, what makes you kind of uniquely differentiated?
We were one of the pioneers, and actually, I have to give credit where credit is due. The grandfather of our industry is a company called Goal Zero. They're also local to the Rocky Mountain West, and we've basically been watching them. And once they were acquired by a larger energy conglomerate, we felt like the innovation slowed down. And so we picked up that innovation baton, so to speak, and we ran with it. And what we decided to do was to build a system that was truly modular from the ground up. And what I mean by that is, not only do we offer the ability to expand the battery capacity, the storage capacity, which many of our competitors offer that as well, but we offer up to 100 kilowatt hours. You can stack up to 96 batteries. The other competitors, they can only go up to about 20 or 30 kilowatt hours. That's as big as it gets. But we built our system from the ground up to be able to accommodate 100 kilowatt hours. So not only do we allow for the flexibility of adding more storage, we actually also provide the flexibility of swapping out the options for input. You can do solar, you can do charge it with solar, you can charge it with the wall, you can charge it with your cigarette lighter in your car. We also will do wind, hydro turbines, whatever generates electrons, we'll store it. So that's also flexibility as well. And then we also offer the output flexibility. The most popular head unit is the Flex 1500 head unit, which has a built-in 1500 watt inverter. That's why we call it the Flex 1500. It has a 1500 watt inverter, it has USBs and stuff like that. But we have a subset of customers who are what we call van lifers, or they just use DC appliances. Truckers, for example, just use DC appliances because it's very efficient. So we actually have a head unit where you can swap it out and pair it with your battery. Instead of having an inverter, you just have DC output, and you have more options for DC output. So you actually have more cigarette lighter out jacks. You have a dedicated Anderson power pole where it would output 60 amps of power. It's regulated DC power, so a lot of like these ham radio enthusiasts can power their systems directly. We're continually building the ecosystems of accessories that you can pair with it, whereas our competitors, it's just a basic portable solar generator that you can expand batteries with.
Help me better understand what your kind of customer groupings look like today.
We owe our success and our start to the emergency preparedness enthusiasts, or affectionately known as preppers. That's who got us going, right? Because they love our system because it's just portable, compact, lightweight, and easy to use. And so we have a lot of emergency preparedness aficionados or preppers that have really given us our start. I mean, that's who we started our business using a crowdfunding platform called Indiegogo. Probably the first $300,000, $400,000 worth of products that were pre-sold were to preppers because they loved it, right? And you had influencers that are prepper focused. You have Canadian prepper, you have city prepper, you have LDS prepper. There's a lot of these prepper channels that love our solution, and that's how we got started. But the more we sell our solutions and the more our brand gets known, the spectrum of emergency preparedness, we proliferate throughout that spectrum, because you can have one extreme spectrum of like the prepper who buys like 3 systems so they have redundant backup. So if there's an EMP blast and their current system gets fried, they have a backup, and they have a backup to their backup, right? That's one extreme. The other extreme is you actually have, let's say a mom who has young kids, and they're doing construction in their neighborhood, and the power goes out like multiple times a day, and she just wants the ability to just put on the TV and a video so her kids can be occupied while she can do some of the things that she needs to do. That's the other extreme. And so that's how we've grown in our market, kind of demographics. And we're growing more and more into the whole home solar side. The van lifers are looking to do it. And then we're starting to do more international customers in the market of rural electrification. So these are the people that don't have electricity, that live off grid, that want an alternative to a diesel generator.
A little bit earlier, you had mentioned that you want to be able to serve the hundreds of millions of people living wholly without power today. I imagine that's a bit of a challenging customer segment to go after. So what is kind of the market strategy to go after that customer segment?
We actually know that we're a US-based company, and we can't be in every developing country because we just don't have the infrastructure to do that. So what we've done is we've partnered with local community-based organizations or nonprofits or NGOs. For example, in Haiti, we've partnered with a local nonprofit called the Haitian Health Foundation, and we work with them to create a promotion where for every system they buy, we will donate a system in our customer's name. And so they've bought over 60 systems already, and what they've done is they've deployed it in rural off-grid community medical clinics, where before the clinic would be open when the sun goes up and it would close when the sun goes down, and they couldn't power any medical devices. Now the doctors can provide service even in the middle of the night because they have power, they have lights, they can power their medical devices and so forth. And so that's the strategy, is to partner with nonprofits, multilateral organizations. There was a potential opportunity that we were seriously in the middle of working with the Asian Development Bank to provide, they describe it as a solar in a box or power in a box, which basically is our solution. They were looking to provide these systems to about 400,000 households in the very off-grid areas of Afghanistan. And we were actually, the Asian Development Bank was working with, utility companies in Afghanistan and the government of Afghanistan. And then there was a major political change, the government change in Afghanistan, and that deal kind of, was put on pause. But that's the type of thing that we would love to pursue, is those type of opportunities where we work with local organizations, local governments, nonprofits to make a difference in the community's lives for those that don't have access to electricity.
So sales have been predominantly to retail consumers, but you've talked about B2B sales. When you talk about B2B sales, do you mean more of that almost kind of B2B approach where you're partnering with a nonprofit or something like that? Or are you actually selling to institutions to use on their own?
We, as part of this crowdfunding, the equity crowdfunding is to actually to provide the resources to actually finalize our whole home solution. So I talked a little bit before about the solution where you can power your washing machine for 3 loads, right? But that's the inverter is only a single phase. It'll just power 110. It won't power the 220. It won't power the electric dryer. Well, this whole home solution it'll do 110 and 220. It'll do the washer and the dryer. So it actually can power your entire home. And how we will go to market with that solution is through solar installers and electricians. So it's the B2B2C, like you were saying. I mean, because everybody at the end is a consumer, but we're selling with the help of our solar installer partners or electrician partners that are are reselling our solutions for us. And that we feel will allow us to grow tremendously.
In that case, they'll be selling on your behalf, and would this be kind of replacing other solar solutions they have, or would they be doing kind of a comparison and saying, hey, you could buy into this one that's going to cost you $50,000, and you could buy this one that maybe for a whole home is $10,000 or $20,000?
That's exactly it. So not only do they get to offer a more lower cost solution, and I told you before, 51 of the U.S. households, are single family residents. They own a roof, and they therefore the solar companies go and market to them. But all of a sudden now they can actually target the other 49% that they've been leaving on the table, right? That's money on the table that they can now all of a sudden go and sell to. And so that's a bigger market, addressable market that they can go after, and they can actually sell. And for every big solar proposal that they make, that's $15,000, $20,000, that they get most of the way through the proposal, and at the end the customer just decides, what, I'm going to hold off because I just can't afford this right now. Why don't you just offer them a $3,000 system to get them started, to start living that solar life, to really appreciate not only the environmental benefits, but also the energy resilience side of it. So when the grid does go down, you've got a system right there that, that you can actually power your devices and so forth. And then once they get into a position where they can afford a whole home solution, then they can actually upgrade. And then they'll already have a battery backup solution. So they're not wasting or losing that investment that they made in our system.
When we're talking about the whole home solution, what does that look like? Like, are they buying 20 or 30 batteries? Is that the whole home solution? Or is it a new solution that's really simple?
It is very much like our Flex 1500 or the Flex DC. The Flex 1500 is getting a little bit technical. It's a 12 volt bus. It's a 12 volt platform. So 12 volts is okay for smaller scale power. The Flex P3, the 3 P's stands for personal power plant. So it's your personal power plant for the home, for yourself. The Flex P3 has a 3600 watt inverter that is split phase. It's 110 and 220, and you can expand the inverter size by stacking an additional inverter. So you can double it to 7200 watt inverter, and that powers most everything in your home. And you can actually daisy chain 2 Flex P3s together to make a 14 kilowatt inverter, and that's more than enough to power maybe a McMansion or a somewhat bigger home, or maybe your farm or small business, right? That type of thing. So, but it's still portable. So the one of the things that allows us to still offer a 3600 watt inverter, a traditional 3600 watt inverter will weigh somewhere between 30 to 60 pounds or something like that. But we're using an advanced material called gallium nitride. We've been doing R&D for this for a long time. And the gallium nitride inverter allows for the inverter to actually be smaller and lighter than an equivalent silicon-based inverter. So that's what allows us to still be compact, lightweight, and portable. And then the battery pack, instead of a 1 kilowatt battery, it's a 3 kilowatt battery, but you can still stack it, and it's still carryable.
Well, you've been growing very robustly for the past few years, from what I can tell, and have millions and millions in annual revenue. So as you look forward, what do you think are some of the greatest growth drivers? And maybe you've already hit on them a little bit, but some of the greatest growth drivers to really take this business to that next level?
Just going back to our roots, actually, Inergy was actually a spin-off from a solar company in Idaho. We were actually incubated inside Big Dog Solar, which is in Pocatello, Idaho, eastern Idaho. And just like any good startup, we started in the garage of Big Dog Solar, and then we moved to the loft, and then we actually expanded into the office, and then we kind of outgrew that office and we got our own office. And then we actually went D2C, or direct to consumer. That's how we got our start. And now we're actually going back full circle and going back to our roots and selling through solar installers. We know that market really well because the founder, Brad, is the owner of Big Dog Solar, and he knows that business backwards and forwards, and we can sell it really well. And we're really excited about that. We've done a lot of customer discovery or a lot of customer market research in talking to a lot of solar installers. And there's basically several battery backup systems out there. I mean, I can name, well, basically, so there's Tesla Powerwall, there's, the Generac, kind of system, and then there's the LG based system. And that's the most common one because if you're not already kind of like a strategic partner with Tesla to resell, Solar City and so forth, and then you're using, Generac, most everyone else uses the LG residue, which is just batteries. Batteries on the wall. You didn't have to buy inverters, you have to buy solar panels. Now we're offering all of the smaller regional solar guys, in a smaller market, a solution that's a lot more affordable, that they can actually sell a lot more, and it's easier to install. Actually, if the customers don't want to install it, they can just use it as a plug and play, and it's easy. It's a transaction based, and they're going to make their profit from selling product, and they can upsell them on home solar and so forth, and all the other value added services that the solar companies can. So we're really excited about that.
So for those who are listening in, what is your last pitch to them? If they're kind of on the line, they're thinking they might want to invest, what's kind of your last pitch to them?
We are in the last about 30 days of our Start Engine equity crowdfunding campaign. And that's it. This is your last opportunity to invest in what we feel is a very exciting and promising future for energy, especially with the technologies that we are introducing. We've also recently secured a contract with the U.S. Army. We have contracts with the U.S. Air Force, and we're getting more and more of these military DoD contracts because power is important when you're in the middle of the desert or in some combat environment, or if you're actually helping support natural disasters or something like that. So that's why the Air Force has actually, invested in us to develop a system for them. So we actually introduced a Flex Tactical, which is a militarized version of the Flex 1500. And so anyways, there's a lot of promising things. We actually got funding from the Department of Energy to develop a microgrid software to embed into our Flex P3. So now you can actually build a microgrid by just attaching multiple P3s together. You can live in a community in the middle of the mountain or the middle of nowhere, and you can build your own community grid, utility grid, using our embedded software. So that's we're really excited about that. We're going to be piloting that later in 2024. We're working with the Idaho National Lab to actually finalize that product. And so there's many things. So that's what I wanted to share is, hey, 30 days to invest in energy. This means that you don't have to be an accredited investor to invest in energy. You can be just an everyday investor and invest, very small amount. You don't need to put in, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars like accredited investors, which we've had. We've had angel investors and institutional investors invest in us. Well, now we're giving an opportunity to everyday investors to invest in us and participate in this renewable energy revolution.
Well, thank you, Sean. I really appreciate it. We're very much proud investors here at King's Crowd Capital and looking forward to watching your growth in the years to come. For all of those listening, thank you so much as always, and have a wonderful day. Thanks so much for listening to the show. If you want to use the same tools I do to find amazing founders like the ones I have on the show to power your investment decisions, you could head on over to kingscrowd.com/startups to try out our Edge Toolkit.